Hello everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. Listen, it's been a hot second since I've done this again, you know what I mean? Sorry my voice. It's been a hot second since I've done this. I will admit, I'm very inconsistent at the moment. But today I thought I definitely had to get back on it. I've just finished watching Black Widow finally, like after a year of waiting. I've really been looking forward to this movie, and definitely after watching it, I definitely thought I had to get back on my videos, innit? So yeah, obviously this is a bit of a spoiler review, and also just to give my thoughts on the movie. And to be honest, it did not disappoint. For me, it didn't disappoint. However, what I do feel a bit awkward before I get into it is some of the kind of, I'm not too sure why there's a bit of hate for it. Yes, I'm not saying don't criticize a movie when it's not good or whatever, but I feel there's a bit of unjustified hate from certain members of the fan base, or just people maybe thinking it's another Wonder Woman kind of movie, like Wonder Woman 84, which like was a bang average movie, but this movie doesn't deserve any of the slaughter that it's kind of got recently. However, that's them. Like, everyone can choose to say what they want, but based on what I've watched, I can at least say I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. It's definitely another Marvel win. It's actually, I think it's a masterpiece. In my case, I really love the movie for so many different aspects of it. For one, I feel the movie did a very good job in giving us that backstory that we've all wanted to know about Black Widow since the very beginning. We've heard of Budapest. We've seen her. We've heard a bit of a story with Clint Barton. I remember way back in the Avengers. The movie did a good job right from the off anyway, because it really started off with her and Yelena as children. Funny enough, obviously those guys are, is it Alexei and Melina, who aren't obviously their real parents, but we got to see what they were like growing up a bit. We can already see from being young that Natasha was very protective of her younger sister. We find out that the so-called parents obviously were undercover agents for, I think at the time, Shield was Hydra or whoever. I forgot, was it Shield who was infiltrated by Hydra? As we know, they were infiltrated for 70 years and so on, didn't it? What we did see was obviously near the beginning, the dad end up taking the kids to the Red Room, so we get to see how young they were. We know that Yelena was about 6. I can't remember. I don't even know how much Natasha actually is, but we just know Yelena was about 6, isn't it? We see them there, and to be fair, it was quite dark to see them do that kind of. I think other people I mentioned it, but it was quite dark to see, human trafficking and all this child exploitation going on, and to physically see what she went through as a young kid. I mean, you could see that there was the way Natasha was in her from those very early ages, especially when you think about that scene at the beginning where she threatened to kill the police guy. She took the gun when they were trying to take the sister away, and it's like she already had a bit of training beforehand, so you can kind of see that what Natasha did become in the future was already there since young, even before she had gone into the Red Room. This was definitely one of my favourite aspects of the movie, first and foremost, and what I feel Marvel did exceptionally well was the relationship between her and Yelena. Fast forwarding 21 years and so on, when we get to the main part of the story to start off with, you see that there was definitely tension there, with Yelena asking like if she felt like she had been forgotten, I think she was saying anyway, or she wanted to know what Natasha thought she had been up to. But it had been so long since they seen each other. Natasha had obviously gotten out of the Red Room, but Yelena wasn't. She was stuck there for like so long. She'd become this killer. She had done so many things, been used by this prick who I'll get onto in just a minute. But what I'll say is, throughout the movie, it was good to kind of look at their relationship, considering what had happened back in the past. there was always, yes, there was always that, there was definitely always that bit of love, but you can see there was, it's like, even in the dialogue, there was always this kind of, not hate, I think hatred is definitely a strong word, but resentment. There's always this bit of resentment, particularly from Yelena's point of view. Obviously, and a bit of jealousy, you know, knowing that Natasha had gone on to work with the Avengers and so on. She did bring up the Avengers issues quite a lot and kind of used that to talk about Natasha and stuff that she had done. The stuff that she had done that she thought was bad and so on and so forth, and stuff that basically impacted their relationships. So you can see all the resentment there throughout the course of the film, and then to see, not to go off topic because I want to talk about certain things later, but to see where it went by the end of the film, you know, how they kind of reconciled after getting through and getting to the person that they were trying to get through to, you know, stop him from doing the whole Red Room program, controlling everyone's minds and all of it. It was definitely interesting. And also the banter. I think one thing, I'm not sure a lot of people should expect banter in Marvel movies, but Yelena was a lot funnier than I was actually anticipating. There was a lot of lines that she was saying. For example, when she tried to mimic, she was asking her, why did she pose like this? And this and that. Just these little quirky kind of comments, which didn't come off forced, which is one thing Marvel always do well. They can always make someone say something funny or make their character funny without it feeling forced. I just thought that was pure banter. And the fact that towards the end of the movie, in like one of the action scenes, she actually had her own kind of superhero landing and she felt it weird and didn't really like it or whatever. I was personally hoping that maybe Natasha was there to see it. That would have only added to the banter there for me. But this is definitely one aspect of the film I thoroughly enjoyed. I feel what they've done is they've made Yelena a very likable character. She's kick-ass, so you can't take her for a mug. And it's interesting to see where they've left her. I'll come on to the end of the actual film, but in terms of what she could be doing for the where she'll go in MCU, because some of Natasha's history with certain people in the group looks like could come back. Obviously she's dead, but could come back on that person. Do you know what I mean? In fact, to be honest, I'll just say it was. I remember at the end of the film, it was Clint Barton. Obviously, that prick of a woman. And I was really shocked when I saw this. It was, what's her name? The woman from Falcon. Can anyone let me know? I think it's Valentina from Falcon and Winter Soldier, the one that came in like the last 2 episodes. Basically almost manipulating her into believing that Clint killed Natasha. Obviously, at the end credit scene, again, spoilers for the end credit scene here anyway, making her believe that he killed Clint. And yeah, just making her believe that she killed Clint because she was at the funeral. That's it. She was at the funeral. She was at her grave. You know, obviously she got killed, but no one really knows what went on. Obviously, they were in fucking vomit. No one else is gonna get there. So you're looking at this woman's plan of trying to recruit certain people, manipulate them into doing what she wants. Obviously, looks like Yelena's gonna get a big more of a story arc, and I expect her to kind of appear. Probably in Hawkeye. I'm definitely expecting her to appear there. But away from just their own... apart from just their own relationship, I'd like to talk about their parents for a bit, which I felt was quite interesting because... I don't know. I never really thought... I should know that they weren't her real parents anyway. But it was interesting to know what they were doing and to know that they were part of that program that was going on. Especially towards the end or third act, I really did feel that Melina herself, you know, until you hear what the plan was, that she really did betray them all. It really did seem like that, but they did a good job in kind of, you know, showing what really did happen with the plan, which was a very good aspect of the film, by the way. That's another separate thing. In terms of Red Guardian, I think you guys will love Red Guardian, even if you don't know too much about him from the comics. I mean, who is it? Is it David Harbour? I think from Stranger Things plays him. He played it to perfection. I remember first seeing him in the prison scene with the what do you call it? Playing, what's he playing? I forgot the game he was playing without inmates and winning anyway. But from the off, he was funny as hell, funny throughout. Even doing the serious scenes, but you know what? The guy did his thing, and it was at least good to see that regardless of everything, he really did still feel highly of the girls and so on, even though it really looked like they didn't want any part of him. Yes, they wanted to get him out of jail. Obviously, they needed to know where the Red Room was, but it's like they didn't really have any interest because maybe of what he did and, you know, leading them to the Red Room, not seeing him after all these years, that they really wanted to talk to him. But obviously, it was more out of a necessity to do so rather than a need, or rather than a desire and a want. But definitely, David Harbour's performance should not go unnoticed. It was flipping brilliant, and I will definitely be watching it again just for that. So yeah, that's another positive aspect. Another thing also I want to touch on, which also from what I've been seeing so far has gotten a bit of criticism, but for the way the story has gone makes sense. That is Taskmaster. As we know, Taskmaster is like a villain. Obviously, he's in the comics, he's a male and stuff. He's more male anyway, but he's someone that kind of can mimic and anticipate anyone's moves just by looking at them. For this movie, however, whilst it did look obviously like Taskmaster and so on, a bit of it was changed. And again, spoiler alert, I have to, that's what the whole video is, but it turned out to be a female. Taskmaster was the daughter of Dreykov, who it was mentioned earlier that Natasha had to kill what was the word? What was the term she was using? Collateral damage anyway. So when she thought she had killed Dreykov in that explosion, she went and she had to kill the daughter as well. It was revealed in that third act that Taskmaster was the actual daughter, but no one knew that she was alive. Now, people are complaining, which for me doesn't make sense. People are complaining just because, and it's probably more of the hardcore fan base. I was complaining that, oh, you've gender bent this character, you've gender bent that character, like she was a bit plain, didn't have any personality. Well, hold on, let's make something clear. The Marvel Cinematic Universe actually has this reputation of not necessarily doing everything to the actual T. Everything isn't copied word for word or page for page from a comic book. There are always characters that are changed specifically to suit the needs and the story of the MCU, how they've decided to go around the story. So certain changes are necessary in order for everything to kind of come together. Taskmaster's identity makes 100% makes sense in this context. Do you know? Considering the fact that they thought this girl was killed. Obviously, we know Dreykov knew she wasn't. So he used her as a kind of cover-up, and he used her as a weapon. And what way to use her as a weapon to get all these other widows, which is what his main plan was. Take control of everything else and so on and so on. So I don't think that should be a problem at all. It should not be a problem at all because it makes sense in the context of the story. With how he controls the widows, it kind of makes sense that there's even a lack of personality in the actual character anyway, because you are controlling them. Do you know what I mean? So for them to start acting like they have their own kind of personality wouldn't make it feel like they're being under control anyway. And plus, Taskmaster was just a badass anyway. That first scene where, let's face it, Black Widow got her ass whooped. Obviously, Taskmaster didn't get the thing because I think she took it out during the fight. But on the bridge, I think it was the bridge scene where he was throwing the shield and all that, he gave her a good ass whooping. And I don't think anyone, even the biggest haters, can complain that she will end up being a she, didn't do a good job. No one will complain. Maybe if they had found out that it was a man that was in the suit, people wouldn't be complaining. But here's another thing about that as well, because based on the context of the story, I'm just trying to think, what male could it be for it to make sense? Because even if it was a male, you still want it to be someone who had some kind of connection to the actual story being told. Not just have a male because Taskmaster's a male in the comics. No. You'd want it to make sense. So for the context of the story, having it be her in particular makes sense. If it was a male now, and the film finishes as it did, you would still be asking questions as to, okay, so who is this guy that he's using to control? You might just think it's a random guy. Anyone else in the MCU at the moment, who could it really be? What connection would they have had to Natasha during this specific time period? So it kind of makes sense. It definitely makes sense that it is who it is, for the, like I've said like already a million times, for the context of the story. So I don't really feel the criticism for Taskmaster is justified. That's in my opinion anyway. If you guys feel I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. But I feel that people need to kind of just think a little bit deeper before making that conclusion about Taskmaster, you know. But yeah, like following on from Taskmaster is this guy Dreykov, who a lot of other people have said, and I also echo what they've said. He's the biggest slime ball, one of the biggest slime balls in the MCU. Now, he may not be as physically imposing as certain other villains because he is quite chubby and all of that, but he seems to have it up here. He seems to know what he wants, how to do it, and how to hide it from other people. I never actually thought that the Red Room thing would be somewhere like high up in the sky to be hidden, but then it does make sense. Away from all the signals and all that, and how anyone can catch you there, it's going to be the last place anyone's going to think of. He really was a slime ball, like even early on in the film where you find out, what did he do? He forced one of the widows to kill themselves when they were trying to chase Elena and Natasha out of that building. She gave Helena, I think, the cure for her to come to her senses, and told her to what did he tell her to do? I tell her to stop him, I think it was. I can't remember the exact words, but I think she told him to stop him. So she came to her senses, and then he forced her to kill herself. This guy is a ruthless motherfucker, right? I mean, not only does he do that, but the way he steals children. He was saying how the world has too many women in it. He's taking, again, the child exploitation. The way he was beating Natasha, like, I think somebody else mentioned this on another video. It was even dark for this reason and stuff like that. Beating Natasha, like beating a woman the way he was. Yes, she's a tough ass woman herself and don't need protection, but it was still nuts to see, you know. He was a slime ball who didn't really feel like he had any other. You know, certain villains always have this kind of a redemption arc. He looked like he was beyond that. Manipulating people, manipulating this, using children, using people, taking away their free will and all of that for his own future plans. It was a disgrace. And using his daughter, turning his daughter into Taskmaster, using her the way he was. It was an absolute disgrace, and for me, I was waiting for him. The way he died, the way he died was so funny. Anyway, do you know what I mean? Besides, I want you to see. Probably wasn't gruesome, but just the way it came across. I think it was in the helicopter final act. There was an explosion. I can't remember who else was in there, but you know when you just see the fire consume him and his glasses flying out, he got exactly what he deserved. So yeah, that's it on him. In terms of the actual overall film, I think it flowed very nicely. It definitely flowed very nicely, and definitely something that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I think every people will enjoy. The action scenes in general is one aspect I don't think anyone can complain. I flipping loved, which scene was it? It was in particular. See that first scene with Alina and Widow, they were kicking each other's asses bad. It was brutal. I'm just like, even when there was a pause when Alina went to get the knife to try and stab him, I'm just like, yo, the fuck is this? Like they were going all out until they came up with a truce. Then you had the breakout at the prison, which I thought was also great. Helena herself nearly flipping killing everyone by, I think, blowing up someone on the wherever they were, and then it now just caused the snow to start falling. I forgot the name of the word when all the snow starts falling. Fuck. I forgot the name of the word. But it was an avalanche. Yeah, an avalanche. The action scene, the choreography between Taskmaster, not only Taskmaster and Natasha in that bridge scene, but the ones near the end where he was also fighting. Sorry, where she was also fighting Red Guardian. My God, that whole scene there, the coordination, everything, busting out the Panther claws, busting out the Spider-Man move. Nah, the action just once. What, like I've said it already a million times, you can't fault the action. I watched the film in 3D. It was magnificent, especially the scene where what's it called? I think it was near the end where they're all free falling. You see in the trailer where they're all free falling. They're all trying to shoot Tasha. Then the way Taskmaster slides on the ship. Right, the choreography, the way it was done, it's just something I could watch over and over again. It was very well made. So this is one thing I'm saying one thing, another good thing I loved about the movie, you know. There was a lot of references back to the Avengers, different, whether it was individuals or different elements of what had happened before. So, but it didn't feel like they were focusing on. You see, like DC might just try and focus on what's coming. It didn't really feel like they were focusing on that, even though there was quite a lot of references. But those references were kind of made to make a point based on what, you know, what a character was maybe saying about Natasha. For example, Elena would be talking about. She was talking about Natasha maybe not doing this. For example, she might be talking about her not doing this or not being there. Why? Because of certain issues with what she was doing with the Avengers. She was saying what the Avengers did had maybe prevented this. So there was a lot of, do you know what I mean? So a lot of that was to kind of help understand more about the point she was trying to make about Natasha, for example. I don't think there was any issue on focusing too much on the Avengers or whoever themselves. It was always just to make a certain point, which I really like. But let me know what you guys feel about that as well. What else was there? So there's more to even talk about here because I feel like I've talked about the main points that I really wanted to talk about. You know, what else was there? Yeah, that's it. I felt one thing they did really well in this was to kind of maybe make you think. What was it? I think I mentioned it earlier in terms of making you think that. I keep thinking it's Melina, not Helena. It's Melina, that she had betrayed the family when they were going to obviously sort this guy out. Dracov, I think. I forget his name. I think it's Dracov. So I thought she'd actually betrayed them. But then when you see them use some of the previous tech from, I think, the Captain America movies, the whole face thing, I thought the way they showed what the plan was very, very well done. Especially when she was explaining to her husband Alexei inside the prison jails that they had been put in as well. So that really did catch me off guard. But it was quite interesting to look at the plan retrospectively. You know, so they're doing what they're doing. So when something had happened, they'd go back and show you what they had planned originally, because it looked like they had just been intentionally captured at the time when they were having, you know, after the meeting that they had, there was a lot of tension. Black Widow had walked away. Elena had walked away to her room, you know, didn't want to talk to anyone. So when they were showing that scene again retrospectively, where they were making their plan, I just thought it was outstanding. I thought it was smart of them to think of it like that, to infiltrate the place. And this is where we got a bit more humour from the Red Guardian anyway. I don't know if anybody else liked it, but anytime he tried to give a what's the name? Not casual speech, like a sentimental speech to whether it was the wife or or Natasha in particular. He either didn't have the gadget, like the earpiece, or they weren't there, or they just turned and they weren't there listening to him. Me and the people in the cinema were busting up at that. And this is what I just love. The humour just never felt forced. It never felt forced, and it just come off naturally because it really did suit the character who was, you know, being humorous at the time. But yeah, the plan, again, back onto the plan to get the widows out, which they successfully did, because I think she managed to hit the nervous system on the guy. Managed to get the plans from the computer before it left. I just thought it was fantastically well done. And I had no problem with the pacing with this movie. I don't know if I can say what. This is what I'm saying. Some people are very overly critical of the movie. I don't think there was anything for me to be overly critical about, because it had the kind of action that I wanted. Yes, you can talk about the villain, because that would be Dreykov rather than Taskmaster, seeing as Taskmaster is really just a puppet of him. So can I really criticize him? Well, no, because he was actually a scumbag. He was a scumbag who did devious things, and we kind of got the backstory of where he was from. So again, that was even quite decent. Yes, he's just not as imposing as certain other villains, but he did what he was doing, and he was ruthless and didn't give a shit. What else? That's it. Like, thank God. Another point that I wanted to point out was, yes, he wasn't in the film very long, but my hatred for General Ross it's just overwhelming. What do you guys think of him anyway? I know technically he's doing his job, but just seeing him trying to stop, and I know we're seeing it from like 2 or 3 films, like the time period of the film was between Infinity War and Civil War, but trying to save the people that has saved the world and are going to save the world, it's just so infuriating, and his arrogance in doing it as well just pisses me off, which is why I was glad that he thought he was where Natasha was when she wasn't. Do you know what I mean? She was already like 5 steps ahead of them, and yeah, his colleague could only get him the tracker, so she knew about it. And then even near the end, when they thought that they were gonna capture her right there and then, she told everyone else to leave, go with the other widows. You just know she got away, because we just see 2 weeks later she was getting the new jet, and it was good to see that scene, because now we know exactly what happened directly from that scene. She went, obviously met Cap to go and break everyone out of prison, etc., etc. So I also feel that it definitely had a good ending, because it literally just flows into what would have happened it flows into her own arc that would have happened in Infinity War. I don't know if anyone else has noticed it from there. So that's why the ending of the film was beautiful. Beautiful and makes sense. Another thing, just to touch on, we've definitely not seen and let me just say it now, we definitely have not seen the end of Taskmaster. Whether we'll see Taskmaster, whether we'll be the same Taskmaster or somebody else, but if it happened to be the same girl, obviously she seems to have come back to her senses. They've definitely decided to take her with them. What the arc would be, I don't know, but I still think we haven't seen the last, because if I'm correct, can someone correct me? At some point there has been times where Taskmaster has actually worked for the good or been more of an anti-hero, so can someone confirm that? But it's just something I feel like I've seen somewhere, so I do feel we haven't seen the last. I do feel, if anything, this other idiot woman, I forgot her name again, the one that, all I can say is the one at the end of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, she's gonna get involved. She already has. You can see that she's trying to get Yelena to go and kill Barton. So and that's another story arc that I'm looking forward to, because when we're gonna see Barton or whoever kind of trying to tell her, well, no, Natasha actually saved her life, gave her life for the sake of the universe. So they've already opened up a couple of new, story plots. But overall, listen, guys, this was I would say, please go and watch this movie. It's another Marvel win. You will enjoy this movie. It had a very good story, and I feel like it did. Maybe, unless you want to say 1 or 2 things they didn't show, like it would have been nice to have had a cameo. I'm not gonna lie, it would have been nice to have a cameo from Barton. Although I feel she did mention it earlier, I forgot what it was. When apparently she said in the Avengers about how Barton didn't kill her, he made a different call. I'm pretty sure there was a small nod to that. I can't remember the line, but it would have also been nice if they could have fit that in, just to see a bit more of her relationship with Clint back then. But other than that, listen, considering the film started from where she was at the end of Civil War, I feel like this was a very good Black Widow movie. Yes, you can say it should have come out a bit earlier. Yes, people can debate whether it was better than Winter Soldier or whatever. It was not. Yes, the film would be similar to Winter Soldier, but it was no. I don't think they were targeting it to be better. So whether you think that's up to discussion. But in terms of her own solo movie, her own backstory, and what's to come, I think the movie was definitely. Sorry, I think that the movie was definitely solid enough, and yeah, it was. So like I say, it was definitely solid enough, and I'm gonna watch it again, if not just for the action scenes, if it had to be that. But it definitely did well with the characters that they had. Good actors, great acting, great chemistry, which is some of the fundamentals that you want in any movie. So, well done, Marvel. And yeah, so guys, please let me know. This come to the end of the video for now. Please let me know what you think about the Black Widow movie. This is just my thoughts. Again, sometimes people might think I'm so easily pleased, but I always go into the cinema, with the highest expectations. If I enjoy a movie, I'm going to enjoy the movie. I'm not going to nitpick at every little thing. We know every movie is not perfect. There's always some kind of fault which you think they can be better. But in general, when you're looking at the movie for what it is and what it gave you, I feel this movie did just that. So yeah, guys, listen, come to the end of the video. If you can give me a like and subscribe, I'm gonna try and be a bit more consistent with these videos anyway. We can always discuss, and it'll be great to chit chat with you, and yeah, talk about everything else if there's anything else that I've missed out. But yeah, guys, listen, until the next next video, I'm guessing I'm probably gonna try. I haven't even done none of the Loki trailers, but I might do a whole one based on the whole series come episode 6. So let's just see how that goes. But yeah, guys, listen, thanks for watching in, and look forward to seeing you again soon. All right, take it easy.